Welcome to Alternate Endings.
Half audiobook.
Half podcast.
Full apocalypse.
New episodes every Monday.
Start your week considering how everything could come to an end.
The following short story is titled Breaking News. The story features fictional advertisements from fictional companies and are not true sponsors of this podcast. This episode was narrated by 5 of us, including me, your boy, Ivan Wayne, Tyler, Cynthia, Cody, and Caitlin.
Hello everyone. We hate to interrupt your regularly scheduled programming, but the United States Air Force has issued an immediate broadcast warning taking effect for the greater areas of St. Louis, Kansas City, and the state of Missouri. We have been informed that an object is on a collision course with the general area of Kansas City and St. Louis. Depending on the nature of the object's entry into the Earth's atmosphere will dictate its final landing location. We are broadcasting across all radio stations in the Missouri and Kansas City greater area. The object is small in size, and scientists do not anticipate any major damage to areas further away than 1 mile from the impact location at this time. We are only capable of estimation. We are broadcasting this message to alert everyone to take any possible cover you can if you are in between the cities of St. Louis, Missouri and Kansas City, Missouri. I repeat, if you are currently in the vicinity of the areas between St. Louis, Missouri and Kansas City, Missouri, or reside in these metro areas themselves, we need you to take cover now. The United States Air Force has issued this warning and has asked us as a radio station to begin this emergency broadcast. We are now going live to Professor Alan Yates of Kansas University in Lawrence, Kansas, for a more detailed report.
Hello. Hello, people of the greater Missouri and Kansas City areas. We are first alarmed about this object because we are constantly monitoring the sky from our observatory here in the middle of Kansas. There was no indication this object existed further out than an hour ago. Admittedly, this is very odd. We would typically be able to sense an object of this size and its path towards Earth as far as 10 million miles, depending on the trajectory of these objects, their size, speed, and other factors. From our reports, this object first appeared about 150,000 miles outside of Earth and is heading directly for our planet. When the military paged us and confirmed their sighting and the expected trajectory of this object, they approved our announcement you are now hearing. We have been in communication with the local and federal government agencies starting just a couple minutes after we became aware of this object. The foreign object is small. We anticipate no larger than a building, approximately 20 to 50 meters in diameter. It is moving slower than a typical meteorite, and we have been monitoring this object very closely for the last 60 minutes. As stated, its current predicted impact area is the general vicinity of Missouri. We will report back to you as we get further information.
Thank you, Dr. Yates. People of the greater Missouri area, anywhere between St. Louis and Kansas City, please take cover at this time. We have been tracking an object for the last 30 minutes or so, and it is set to make impact with the ground in the next 10 to 15 minutes. We have waited to broadcast this interruption until we got the clear from our local and federal military to take over your radio station. This emergency broadcast has been brought to you by Lorinda Tools, supplying all your emergency essentials and tools for those unsure crisis days. Lorinda Tools will be at your side. I'm getting an alert now from General Abrams. We will now switch our transmission to General Abrams of the United States Air Force at an undisclosed location.
Hello, people of Missouri and surrounding communities. I want to urge all of you on a couple of items. First, please ensure you take as best cover as possible. We do not anticipate a large strike area or debris field from this item, but we must ensure your safety. Second, please do not panic. We do not know the nature of this object, and we will have military units on the scene as soon as we can. We have dispatched troops from local military bases and the National Guard, in addition to our reserves. Local government authorities and emergency crews have also been notified. We will handle this situation as it unfolds. For now, we urge you to stay calm. Please find shelter in case your residence is close to the landing point of this object. If you are close enough to travel to the crash site of the object, I urge you not to visit the scene. U.S. military officials will be at the scene keeping anyone from the public at a safe and reasonable distance. Please stay in your homes or place of shelter, and stay tuned into this program until further updates can be given. Thank you.
Thank you, General. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it from our military themselves. Please stay calm, stay inside, and do not visit the crash site if you become aware of its location or proximity in the near future. If you are just joining us, we have interrupted your regularly scheduled programs to inform you of an object, anticipated to be less than 30 meters across, is heading from space into Earth's atmosphere and is anticipated to land somewhere in the vicinity between Kansas City and St. Louis. We urge you folks, if you live in these communities, please take cover now. The object shall make impact within the next 10 minutes. As we wait for further updates, I'd like to tell you about the brand new 1999 Trexam Vantage. With 12 more cubic feet of cargo space and 30 more horsepower, the Trexam Vantage will get you and your entire family wherever you need to go, even in an emergency. If you buy or lease a 99 Trexam Vantage in the next 30 days, a 6-month trial of roadside assistance will come included with that brand spanking new vehicle. That is a $400 value, folks, for free. You never know when the family vehicle will need to save you and the ones you love in an emergency. Stop into your local Trexam dealer today. We have interrupted your regular programming once again, ladies and gentlemen, to update you on the object making its way from outer space, eventually into our own Earth atmosphere, and crashing down somewhere in between St. Louis, Missouri, and Kansas City. We started this broadcast from the alert of the United States military and their concern of the impact range of an object approaching us from outer space. We now go to Professor Yates, who we heard from earlier, with an update about this strange appearing object.
Thank you. Moments ago we noticed, while observing this object as it makes its way to Earth, the object broke into 3 separate pieces of what appears to be equal size. The curious nature of this breaking apart was that typical objects in space that break apart spread their pieces further from one another as time continues. The objects tend to move apart as they travel, like 2 boats who turn slightly apart from one another. The further they travel after changing direction, the further apart they become. However, as the item we are monitoring broke into 3 objects, each of the 3 pieces lined out next to one another and are still heading straight toward their original target area. We are still gathering data on the distance these objects are from one another and how large each item is. We are monitoring strange waves and signals that could possibly be coming from these objects. We've only begun to pick up these waves, whatever they are. We will update you with more information as soon as possible.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Professor Yates of Kansas University, reporting from the KU Observatory west of Kansas City. As he stated before, the original object we informed you about has broken into 3 separate pieces, all of which are anticipated to land somewhere between Kansas City and St. Louis, Missouri. We are being informed that these 3 separate objects will land somewhat close together and are currently all traveling together at the same rate of speed. We caution you to take cover at this time. Many folks have begun trying to head east or west outside of the anticipated target area. Highways running east of St. Louis are jammed, and local authorities are issuing recommendations to try other routes if attempting to leave this impact area. Similarly, the major thoroughfares heading west from Kansas City are also blocked, and the traffic is currently at a standstill. If you intend to try and leave the area, please use alternate routes. The safest and best option, however, according to our U.S. military, is to find sturdy shelter if you live anywhere between the metros of KC and St. Louis. We do not recommend trying to get out of the impact area in a car or motor vehicle. There simply will not be enough time. Please find shelter in your house, or preferably somewhere more shielded than just your typical residential roof. Yeah, is this where you're... I have just been handed a report that updates are coming in from Whiteman Air Force Base, 70 miles southeast of Kansas City. Before we head to Whiteman Air Force Base, I'd like to remind you that this broadcast is being sponsored by Lorinda Tools. Supplying all your emergency essentials and tools for those unsure crisis days, Lorinda Tools will be at your side. Operating for over 40 years nationwide, Lorinda Tools is the brand you can trust when tomorrow seems uncertain. I am unsure of the nature of these updates from Whiteman Air Force Base, ladies and gentlemen. We broadcast to them now.
Hello, people of Missouri and surrounding areas. I'm Colonel Jeremy Engel. I want to assure the people of Missouri that once these items hit the ground, our teams will handle the situation appropriately. We currently have teams throughout the region canvassing possible landing areas of these objects. Some news stations and local broadcasts have already begun sensationalizing the event and claiming these objects are of an alien nature without any evidence or certifiable claims. The specific origins and nature of these objects are currently unknown, and there is no indication of any alien presence or life form at this time. We urge the population to remain calm. The best plan of action is to remain in a secure shelter. As the objects get closer to the surface, we will convene on any crash sites and set up safe perimeters. Evacuations in the areas between Kansas City and St. Louis have already begun. This is not recommended, as the distance you can travel between now and the time of impact is negligible. According to current projections, the object will impact in 8 minutes or less. We will be sure to keep you updated as the situation unfolds.
Thank you, Colonel Engel. We appreciate everyone assisting us with information in this broadcast as we unravel what these objects are and where they're going to land. Thank you, listeners, for joining us here. We apologize for interrupting the regular programming on your radio station of choice, but due to the nature of this event, we find it pertinent to inform you for your safety. If you are just joining us, please take appropriate shelter if you live anywhere between the areas of St. Louis and Kansas City, or if you happen to live in the greater Missouri area. We originally observed one object heading towards Earth and heading for impact. That original object has now broken into 3 separate pieces of equal size, all of whom are heading straight for our surface. They are intended to make connection with Earth's atmosphere at any moment. Oh. Okay. We are returning to Professor Yates of Kansas University for more updated information at the observatory in Kansas.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have gathered more accurate and reliable data from these objects as they now pass into the outer layers of Earth's atmosphere. Each object is a perfect sphere, approximately 20 to 30 feet in diameter. These objects are not spinning, but instead are staying in position as they travel into Earth's vicinity. This is very strange, as objects undergoing turbulence and interference from the atmosphere are often knocked about and spun. The nature of these 3 orbs is unknown, but they are not typical meteorite. We do know that now. They are perfect orbs and are maintaining a stable balance as they now enter our atmosphere. In addition, each orb is emitting some frequency of signal, but we have been unable to narrow down the form of energy coming from these objects. We have discerned these frequencies are not radio, micro, gamma, X, or ultraviolet rays. We shall continue scanning and monitoring them as they approach the surface. They will be landing any moment. We can page again when we have further details.
Thank you again, Professor Yates. I have been given yet another update from Colonel Engel. The anticipated impact area is in the general vicinity of Buckhorn, Missouri. A nearby Army base, Fort Leonard Wood, is aware, and they have dispatched troops already. The area is quite rural and on the edge of the Ozark Mountains. A section of the Mark Twain National Forest is included in this area. If you live in the general region of Buckhorn, Dixon, Lebanon, Falcon, or St. Robert, Missouri, or the western sections of the Mark Twain National Forest, please, I urge you to seek immediate shelter. This collection of objects is going to make impact at any time, and we cannot say for certain where they're going to land. Could you use a bit of relaxation during all of this chaos? Let me tell you about Bryson Beer Company. Man, oh man, do they know how to make a lager. Now distributing to 7 states, Bryson Beer Company has made their mark with local communities with their outstanding quality and dependable, smooth taste. Named after the founder's son, Bryson Beer is a smooth lager guaranteed to quench that warming springtime thirst. Hearing exciting or suspenseful news can make one pretty thirsty, and that's why this broadcast has been sponsored by Bryson Beer Co. Have the best beer made for people like you who need a break from life. Returning to the news story we've been following, folks, we think the objects we have been tracking have probably already made an impact with the ground. We have our sources standing by, awaiting any updates, and we can broadcast to them at that time. We also have local authorities heading towards the area to see if we can get any field correspondence. We've been in close contact with the Army, the Air Force, and the local observatory of Kansas University following this emergency event. If you're just joining us, folks, a strange object was noticed about an hour ago heading straight for Earth. The anticipated target was
Yeah, is that what you want to say? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an update, and we now go to General Abrams, who is apparently already on scene of the intended crash site of these mysterious objects.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm in a temporary shelter near the crash site of these 3 mysterious objects. Each orb is about 35 feet in diameter. The 3 objects landed in a field out here in the Pulaski Country Fort Wood Shrine. This is a large wooden object that is the staple identifier for this local campground outside Blackhorn, Missouri. Each of these orbs landed deep in the earth, plowing deep enough that the tops of each orb are about 5 feet below the ground. However, the ground around each crater seemed to remain relatively undisturbed. Each orb is the same color, a dark and deep gray. It being evening out here, these objects look almost black. No noise coming from these objects yet. Anyone in this area is strongly urged to evacuate and take appropriate safety precautions. We are unsure of the nature of these objects, but these are not typical space rocks. They're completely smooth, with no exterior markings, bumps, or variations. The giant orbs have no surface indications, lines, or irregular markings. People have already begun gathering here at the crash site, but we urge people to get as far away as possible for their own safety. Local police are attempting crowd control as we speak. For all others out there listening, you are now safe. The objects have landed without much impact damage. Thank you.
Thank you, General. Very curious, the descriptions of these objects. Everyone, you can now rest easy. These objects have made impact with the ground in a rural location outside a campground near the Pulaski County Fort Wood Shrine. I want to page Professor Yates again to see if they've gathered any more information about these objects before they hit the ground. But before we do, I'd like to tell you about Greyhawk Homeowners Insurance. Do you feel safe when you leave the house that... I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. I shall finish informing you about Greyhawk Insurance after we dispatch to someone paging us from the crash site. We will now switch the broadcast to their live feed.
Hello, are we live? Yes, hello. This is Victoria Taylor of KJFT Local News out of Missouri. We are the first press here on the scene. We knew about this emergency broadcast, so we wanted to share with everyone what we are witnessing. These 3 orbs have begun pulsing at a very low frequency. The news crew here agrees that we can almost feel the rumble in the air more than we can hear it. The low, vibrating humming began about 30 seconds ago. We have only been on scene for about 2 minutes. There is a sizable military presence here and some local police, but not enough staff. The amount of people here is overwhelming the local authorities, and the police line for this scene is not being held. The crowd has become unruly, and we have been trying to get closer to these objects. The humming seems to be getting more violent over time, and the rumbling is enough to make my teeth kind of feel like they're rattling in my head. Oh my, wait. It would appear the orbs are now moving. You are hearing it here, folks, from Victoria Taylor at KJFT Field Reporter. These 3 dark orbs are beginning to move. They are slowly lifting from the holes they were originally sitting in. The authorities are trying to maintain order. It's chaos. The orbs continue to make their humming sound, the feeling rumbling around. These orbs are now floating above the holes they were sitting in. No wind, no propulsion, just floating. The orbs are, oh my goodness, the orbs are moving now away from the holes. They are hovering maybe 15 feet above the ground. The humming continues. Something is dropping from the bottom of each of the orbs. Again, this is Victoria Taylor of KJFT. I can't quite make out what is dropping from the bottom of the object. Oh my goodness, I think that's people. Is that a person? I think those are people. Oh shit. Oh my god. People are dropping from beneath these orbs. Or at least they look like people. They, like you and me, humans. I mean, they're wearing clothes. They look normal to me. A man that would appear to be in his 40s, maybe. And, oh my goodness. Victoria Taylor of KJFT here. And now we are seeing multiple people drop from each of these orbs. The people are collecting at the bottom. We can now see 15 people in all, 4, 5 from each. Five people have dropped from each orb, and oh my god. They took off running. They ran into the trees behind the crash scene. They are gone from sight, and the orbs, they're lifting back off the ground. The humming noise is picking up. It's almost unbearable to... Oh, it's so loud.
We have lost connection with Victoria Taylor there from KJFT. We will get back to what happened here in a moment, but first, I want to finish telling you listeners about Greyhawk Homeowners Insurance. Do you feel secure that if something were going to happen to your livelihood tomorrow, that you and your family would be taken care of? Get lifted above your home security and insurance needs with Greyhawk Homeowners Insurance. A 20-minute free consultation could save you hundreds of dollars. Why would you delay? Soar above your housing worries with Greyhawk Homeowners Insurance. Alrighty. Back to the news story we've been following. We now go to General Engel with some updates. He has been paging us since we lost connection with Victoria.
Ladies and gentlemen, anyone listening, I do not mean to increase your fear or cause panic. That being said, I need to inform you about events which have just occurred. 3 objects landed moments ago and released at least 15 different creatures at the crash site. Some of you may have heard the live broadcast from the crash site. We have lost all communication with our units at the original site. We are attempting to regain contact with our personnel at the scene. We do not believe the creatures are human, however, they are identical to humans. I repeat, from the crash site we have seen 15 verified extraterrestrial beings who have mirrored and mimic human aesthetics. These creatures were headed east according to the latest reports. We are unsure of their intentions or destination. If you live in the vicinity of Mark Twain National Forest or anywhere west of St. Louis, report any strange people or occurrences to the nearest law enforcement agency. We do not know how these human-like creatures function or what their intentions are. If these creatures are encountered, extreme caution is urged. If anyone is listening and is close to the crash site, please evacuate the area immediately. Thank you.
That was General Engel with the United States Air Force. We appreciate your updates as this situation unfolds. We're trying to regain contact with anyone at the original crash site to get you any updates from there. Oh, it would seem that Professor Yates of the KU Observatory is paging us. We will now broadcast to him.
Hello? It's over. It's over. After seeing these orbs, and now... I'm sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, anyone out there, wherever you may be, we now have 112 confirmed orbs heading towards Earth at this time. Each orb is probably identical to the first object. Any of them have yet to break apart, but if they follow suit from the first object we all witnessed together tonight, 336 of these orbs carrying creatures that look like humans will now be on the surface in the next half hour. This will be my last broadcast. It is time I go home and be with my family. My reports on the events of tonight are over at this time. Thank you.
Well, listeners out there, as Professor Yates said, there are now 112 objects inbound for the surface of the Earth. We are not sure where each of these objects will impact, but suspect they may soon break apart into over 300 objects. We cannot make assumptions, though, but if each orb carries 5 more beings like the ones we've been tracking tonight in Missouri, then that means by our calculations here at the station that we will have nearly 1,600 of these beings among us. We are still trying to locate any crews or someone who can update us from the original crash site. Please stay with us as we continue to track what is happening tonight. And while we wait, I'd like to remind you this broadcast it's being sponsored by Trexham Motors. If you lease or buy a brand new 1999 Trexham Vantage within the next 30 days, then you... Oh. Really? Okay. The Trexham Vantage, yes. If you buy it or lease it in the next 30 days, you get 6 months free of roadside protection, and that's worth $400. So buy or lease the brand new Vantage today. What am I supposed to say? Are you kidding me? I'm supposed to tell them that? That's real? That's real. What do we got? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have been we have been informed from the Kansas City authorities that the city is under attack. I repeat, Kansas City is under attack. The 3 orbs we have been tracking and reporting on this evening have entered the outside metros of the city and have begun crashing through buildings and bridges. Many people are injured or missing. If you live in the Kansas City area, please evacuate immediately. We are told that traffic is jammed in all directions, so perhaps you should attempt to flee on bicycle or foot. Really? That's what we say? That's what we say. I apologize. We are trying to keep you informed as these updates come in. It appears that each orb is capable of bending the gravity around it in some unnatural and seemingly impossible manner, and they're untouchable. Okay, these orbs appear to collide in one side of the building and out the other, and the orbs never seem to take any physical damage. They have a force field around them or something similar. I repeat, ladies and gentlemen, if you are near the metro of Kansas City, please evacuate now. The 3 orbs we originally saw outside a campground in Missouri have made their way to Kansas City and have begun destroying the outskirts of the city. They're smashing through bridges and buildings. Reports coming in left and right are astonished at the speed and agility of these orbs as they zip in and out of buildings with shocking velocity and precision. We will continue to broadcast for everyone here as the events unfold. We've yet to make any contact with anyone from the crash site, and we're still unaware of the 15 unidentified beings who left the scene of the original impact. According to Professor Yates, who we heard from earlier tonight, there are more spheres heading towards the surface, possibly as many as 300 different objects. Listeners, Kansas City is under attack. If you're just joining us, I repeat, Kansas City and its surrounding suburbs are under attack from 3 objects capable of destroying buildings themselves by crashing through them and just about any other surface. These were the original objects we had tracked earlier in the evening that came from space. Do I really have to do this? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, do you feel like something refreshing listening to all these emergency updates and news? I would like to take the opportunity while we wait for further updates to tell you about something incredibly refreshing, a sponsor of our broadcast tonight. Bryson Beer Company, now distributing to 7 states, Bryson Beer Company has made their mark in local communities with their outstanding quality and dependable smooth lager taste. Bryson Beer is a smooth beer, guaranteed to quench that springtime thirst, getting all that spring cleaning done. Also, hearing exciting or suspenseful news can make one quite thirsty, and that's why this broadcast tonight has been sponsored by Bryson Beer Company. Have the best beer made for people like you who need a break from life. We are awaiting any updates from local authorities or the U.S. military. Thank you. Okay, let me see. We now have an update from General Engel of the Air Force. General, we broadcast to you.
Hello. To anyone listening to this broadcast, please remain calm. I would like to notify you at this time Kansas City has been put under a state of emergency. We do not fully know the intentions of the impending objects that will be on the surface in a few minutes. There will be over 300 of these objects, and they are going to land all across the globe. An Army National Guard unit intercepted the 15 creatures who were headed east from the original crash site. We lost contact with that unit and are still trying to regain our connection with them. If you are in the general area of western Missouri at this time, I suggest you remain calm, seek shelter, and await further instructions. We will continue to broadcast across these stations to keep the populace informed. I do not suggest going outside. We are unsure how human these creatures have been able to appear. Very soon there may be more of these creatures among us. Care for your family and the ones with you tonight. Please remain calm and stay tuned for further updates.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was General Engel of the United States Air Force. As the hundreds of objects fall into our atmosphere now, and Kansas City is diminishing to rubble from mysterious orbs and odd creatures that are from another planet possibly, are mimicking human appearance and wandering through the woods of Missouri, I would like to let you know about something. Well, actually, 2 things. First, how safe do you currently feel with your homeowner's insurance plan? Have we told you about Greyhawk Home Insurance? They fly above the other options as... Wait, what? Excuse me? They're telling us to cancel? People are freaking out. We're getting how many calls? People think it's real. We got how many calls? We got... Oh. Okay. Okay, listeners. Everyone out there. We have just been informed that some people have begun to take this little April Fool's joke prank this evening a little too seriously, and we must now apologize. Well, I guess we have accidentally alarmed the people of Missouri and Kansas City into a frothing panic. Local military officials had begun issuing emergency orders of their own, in reality, and now we have local authorities en route to our radio station here. Looks like we might be in a bit of a trouble. This entire broadcast you've been tuning into for some time now this evening has been a joke, a hoax. This has been an April Fool's joke. Don't forget, folks, it is April 1st all day, and we had said that this was going to be a fictional April Fool's joke for a couple of days leading up to this broadcast. So I repeat, this entire broadcast you've been tuning into tonight is a joke. There are no orbs, no aliens, no impending doom. There was never any objects coming from space. This has all been a dramatization with actors, similar to that classic stunt pulled in the 40s, I think, possibly, something like that by Orson Welles. It was a classic stunt, and we wanted to bring that fun here to 1998. Everyone you have heard is a voice actor being employed by our radio station. This has been an elaborate prank. Perhaps many people did not notice or remember that this is April 1st, or they didn't hear our fictional warnings about this prank coming up a couple of days out. This has been our April Fool's joke for you, listener. Everything is okay. We assure you, nobody has been hurt. This entire broadcast is a joke. The only real thing about this entire broadcast was our voices. We are all trained actors hired by the radio station here that we work for. If you have made any changes to your day or night because of panic or fear, thinking this event has been real, we apologize. We only intended to replicate the classic prank and modernize the idea of War of the Worlds for you all. Everything is okay, nobody has been hurt, and there never was any impending orbs or objects. Nobody has died tonight. People of Kansas City, Missouri, St. Louis, and all surrounding areas, no real threat has occurred here tonight. This entire broadcast has been an April Fool's hoax. We now return you to your regular programming. Apparently, the local authorities would like to speak with everyone involved in this elaborate plan tonight when they arrive here in a few minutes. I suppose, happy April Fool's Day, everyone, and wish us luck.
Thanks all for listening. Check out the next episode where we discuss and review this story. We hope to see you there, as long as the world doesn't end before then.
We would like to thank Kevin MacLeod for his music found on Incompetech.com.